On October 16, 2013, the police were conducting a search at the residence of the Rahman family in Dhaka. The complaint was that several days had passed, but there was no sign or communication from any member of the Rahman family. As the officers moved through the house during the search, they entered a particular room where a strong and foul smell immediately hit them. And they already had a very good idea what that smell was. It was the smell of dead bodies. Inside the bathroom of that room, the police discovered two corpses, the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Rahman. Both were soaked in blood. Some jewelry and cash were also missing from the house, and so was the family's eldest daughter, Oishee. What exactly had happened in that house? There was only one person who knew the answer, and that person was Oishee Rahman herself. But where had Oishee disappeared to? So, let's learn more about today's case, which revolved around Oishee Rahman. Oishee was born on August 17, 1994, in the Khulna district of Bangladesh. Her family included her father, Mahfuz Rahman, who was a police inspector in the special branch, her mother, Swapna Rahman, who worked at a private organization called Destiny, and her younger brother, Oishee. Oishee's family lived in the Kamelabag area of Dhaka. A few years after moving there, they hired a house help named Khadija Akhtar Sumi. In 2002, Oishee began studying at the Banani's Cardiff International School. From the beginning, she was quite average in academics. She didn't have many friends at school, and, even from a very young age, she preferred to stay quiet and alone. In a way, the attention and care that she needed in her childhood were missing. Because both her parents were working professionals, they couldn't spend much time with her or give her the emotional presence she may have needed growing up. Because of this emotional gap, Oishee grew up to be quite rebellious from a young age. Her father was a police inspector, so there was always a strict sense of discipline in the household. And like most parents, Oishee's parents also had clear expectations for her. They wanted her to get good marks, go to school regularly, and eventually land a respectable job. But Oishee, even as a child, had no real interest in studies. Her parents would often scold her, not just for poor academic performance, but also for other things. To avoid these constant scoldings and the pressure at home, Oishee began spending more and more time outside the house. So as she grew older, Oishee's rebellious nature only intensified. And slowly, she began to grow emotionally distant from her mom, dad, and the rest of her family. In 2008, when she was just in 5th grade, Oishee started smoking cigarettes, probably as an act of rebellion. Eventually, the habit turned into a full-blown addiction. She got so used to smoking that sometimes she would smoke up to 20 cigarettes in a single day. Because of this habit, her parents caught her several times and even beat her harshly in frustration and anger. But despite all that, Oishee never stopped smoking. And Oishee's situation kept getting worse with time. After completing 5th grade, she was admitted to Motagil Ideal School. But there too, her academic performance continued to decline. She often skipped school or tried to get classes canceled. Oishee felt that her parents didn't love her, nor did they truly understand her. These thoughts became so intense that, in 2009, she attempted to take her own life twice. Thankfully, both times her parents managed to save her in time. By 2011, when Oishee was in 8th grade, she had started making friends outside school, mostly through clubs and social hangouts. Her friend circle included people aged between 26 and 40. Some were dancers, others were businessmen. It was a very mixed and older crowd, and a few of them were also involved in supplying substances. It was in one such club that Oishee met a guy named Ronnie. His full name was Mayana Rahman Ronnie, and he was 24 years old. Professionally, he was a dancer. In a very short span of time, Ronnie and Oishee became close friends, and eventually, they even started living together. But when a person starts using substances, it often turns into an addiction. And to feed that addiction, Oishee didn't have the money she needed. So, she began stealing money from her father's wallet quite frequently. One day, her father caught her in the act, stealing cash from his wallet. He scolded her very harshly, but the scolding didn't really make much of a difference to Oishee. By 2012, she had also started stealing alcohol from her father's alcohol storage and began drinking. Around the same time, she also started using yaba, a powerful and highly addictive drug. Yaba is often referred to as madness pills because it significantly increases the chances of developing mental and behavioral disorders. And the same thing happened with Oishee. By the end of 2012, when her parents stopped giving her money, she could no longer afford the substances she was addicted to. Frustrated and desperate, she attempted to take her own life once again. This was her third suicide attempt. But fortunately, even this time, her parents managed to save her. It was very clear that Oishee's parents were not willing to lose her, no matter what. No matter what kind of daughter she was, no matter how rebellious she became or what she did, her parents didn't want to lose her. Maybe their way of disciplining her was different. Maybe the way they communicated with her wasn't ideal. But deep down, they always wanted what was best for their daughter. So, during the times when Oishee couldn't get access to drugs, she often tried to run away from home. Each time, her parents would convince her to come back. But the last time they discovered how serious her addiction had become, they reacted with anger and frustration. They beat her badly and then completely restricted her from going outside the house. Oishee's parents even changed her school to prevent her from meeting her old friends. So, after being practically confined at home, her daily routine became very limited, just going to school and coming back home. Nothing else. But even then, using school as an excuse, she managed to stay in touch with the friends she had made outside. Due to this isolation, or possibly some underlying mental health issues, Oishee had now started considering Ronnie her boyfriend. She shared everything with him, all her thoughts and feelings, because she felt that Ronnie understood her in a way her parents never did. At home, she felt her parents neither talked to her properly nor understood her emotions. While staying at home, she usually stayed connected with her friends through her phone, chatting with them regularly, and sometimes even making certain requests. On July 31st, 2013, her parents caught her talking to her old friends on the phone. In a fit of anger, they scolded her harshly, beat her, and took away her phone. And that was the breaking point for her. Until now, Oishee had been angry at her parents. She kind of resented them. But after this particular incident, that anger turned into full-blown hatred. From that moment on, she began planning to murder her parents. She started seeing them as enemies, people who were trying to control her life and stop her from living on her own terms. And for Oishee, the only way out now seemed to be that her parents no longer existed in this world. So, it all started maybe from not getting the emotional attention and support she needed as a child. But over time, that neglect evolved into something much darker, until Oishee reached a point where she actually wanted to kill her parents. She began preparing step by step. She bought a large knife from outside and collected a total of 60 sedative tablets from different pharmacies. 5 days before carrying out her plan, Oishee shared every detail with Ronnie. Ronnie, apparently, promised her that he would help hide her parents' bodies. And finally, on August 15th, 2013, she executed her plan. That Tuesday evening, Oishee made her mother a cup of coffee laced with sedative tablets. After drinking it, her mother fell asleep in the bedroom. Later, around 10 p.m., Oishee called her father and asked him to come home early. As soon as he arrived, she gave him the same kind of sedative-laced coffee. He, too, went to bed soon after. Once both of her parents were asleep, Oishee sat in her room and drank 2 bottles of whiskey. Then, around 2 a.m., she picked up the knife, ironically, one that her parents themselves had bought, and began her attack. She went for her mother first, stabbing her while she slept. But the noise woke up her younger brother, who was sleeping next to their mother. Trying to protect him, their mother pushed him away from her. In the struggle, she fell to the ground. She had managed to save her son, thinking Oishee might attack him next. But she couldn't save herself, and within moments, she died from her injuries. Oishee then went on to attack her father in the same way. He, too, died within minutes from the brutal stabbing. And now, at this point, both Oishee and her younger brother Ohi had lost the shelter and love of their parents. Ohi was just 8 years old at the time. After witnessing the brutal murders, he was in complete shock. He couldn't understand what was happening, why his own elder sister had killed their parents. All he could do was cry. To quiet him down, Oishee locked Ohi inside the attached bathroom of their parents' bedroom. While she was doing this, their house help, Sumi, saw everything through the keyhole of the door. But she was too frightened to intervene, so she quietly went back to her room. At around 4 a.m., Oishee woke Sumi up and told her that Ronnie, along with another friend, had come and murdered her parents. But Sumi already knew the truth about what Oishee had done. In fact, Oishee still had blood on her clothes when she woke Sumi up. However, Sumi was only 11 years old at the time, and just a few hours earlier, she had witnessed a horrific double murder with her own eyes. So, out of fear and confusion, she simply followed whatever Oishee told her to do. She cleaned the blood-stained room while Oishee took a shower. After showering, Oishee, with Sumi's help, moved her parents' bodies from her bedroom into the attached bathroom. Now, even though Sumi was just a young girl and only their house help, she had been living with the family for a long time. But still, she had witnessed everything with her own eyes. After hiding the bodies, Oishee let her younger brother Ohi out of the bathroom and told him, and I quote, "Don't worry, Mom just had a small injury, so Dad took her to the hospital. They'll be back soon." Hearing this, Ohi finally began to calm down. He even stopped crying completely, believing what his sister had said. Oishee then packed 2 bags. In them, she put her mother's jewelry, some cash, her blood-soaked clothes, the knife, and a mobile phone. After that, she took Ohi and Sumi outside the building. While leaving, she told the watchman that she was going out with them for just a few hours. And with that, they disappeared from the scene. On August 16th, Oishee couldn't find any place to stay. So, the 3 of them spent the entire day riding around in a rickshaw, searching for shelter, because Ronnie had only arranged accommodation starting the next day. Oishee left Sumi at the home of the same rickshaw driver they had been traveling with, and she herself stayed with her younger brother Ohi at another rickshaw driver's house. From there, around 2 a.m., she called her uncle, Alamji, and told him that her parents had to go out of Dhaka for a few days to Ranchi. She said she was feeling scared staying alone in the house, so she was taking Ohi with her to stay at a friend's place for a few days. The next day, her uncle called her back and told her to return home. He said he was also coming over, but instead of returning, Oishee sent only her brother Ohi back home in a rickshaw. She herself went to stay at Roni's aunt's house. Alamji was waiting for both of them, Oishee and Ohi, to come home. But when he saw only Ohi returning alone, he became extremely confused. He asked Ohi, "Where's your sister? And where is Sumi?" But Ohi couldn't explain anything properly, and that was probably because he was still just a child at that time, only 8 years old, and had not been able to process everything that had happened mentally. So, Alamji had initially asked both Oishee and Ohi to come to his house. But when only Ohi came, he took the boy and went to Oishee's house himself. When they reached there, they saw that the house was locked from the outside. Seeing the lock, Alamji tried calling Oishee's parents, but neither of them was answering their phones. He then began asking around in the neighborhood. Upon questioning, he learned from the building's security guard that earlier that morning, Oishee had told him that all 3 of them, herself, her brother, and their maid, were going out somewhere. This entire situation seemed very suspicious to Alamji and Oishee's other uncle, so they immediately called the police. When the police arrived and broke open the lock, they began searching the house. During the search, they discovered the bodies of Oishee's parents in the bathroom attached to her bedroom. The police immediately sent the bodies for post-mortem and launched a routine investigation. While searching the house, they noticed that Oishee's mother's jewelry and some cash were missing. However, they couldn't find the weapon used in the murder. Ohi was in no condition to speak or explain anything. So now, the police officially began searching for Oishee. At this point, Oishee had almost managed to escape all of this, at least for the time being. But I think that after killing her parents, something must have hit Oishee, some kind of realization. She must have realized that the police would eventually find her. She must have understood how serious the situation was and how much danger she was in now. And perhaps she also realized that she couldn't stay hidden like this for very long. That's why, 2 days after the murder, on August 17th, Oishee walked into Paltan police station and surrendered. She even confessed everything to the police about the stolen items. The police recovered all of it from Ronnie's aunt's house, including the knife and the bloodstained clothes. The very next day, Sumi also came to the police station with the rickshaw driver and told the officers everything she had seen with her own eyes. However, after being arrested, Oishee kept changing her statements. The version of events she gave on the first day, she didn't stick to it. Sometimes she said her friend Ronnie had killed her parents, and at other times she claimed she didn't even know her parents were dead. But her denials didn't help her case because the police had solid physical evidence against her, the knife that was used in the murder. The police also faced difficulty in determining Oishee's exact age. According to her school documents, she was underage, but her passport showed that she was above 18. To resolve this, a medical test was conducted, which confirmed that she was not a minor. Oishee was 19 years old. The post-mortem report revealed shocking details. Oishee had stabbed her father twice and her mother 11 times. Forensic experts initially suggested that the nature of the attack indicated involvement of more than one person. However, it was later confirmed that Oishee alone had committed the murders. This clearly showed the level of hatred and rage she must have harbored toward her parents. You can only imagine how intensely angry and disturbed she must have been to attack them with such brutality. So, based on all the evidence, including Sumi's statement and the forensic findings, Oishee was officially arrested. But her behavior in jail was very strange. She often seemed deeply troubled, lost in thought. At times, she would sit silently in a corner, doing nothing, just staring at the walls or sitting quietly, completely detached from everything around her. The court ordered a psychological evaluation of Oishee's mental state through expert psychologists. According to them, Oishee was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Her condition had worsened significantly due to alcohol abuse, and likely because of withdrawal symptoms, her mental health was deteriorating further. She now had a long road ahead of her. The case dragged on in court for several years. Oishee's friend Ronnie was sentenced to 2 years in prison for helping her after the murders. Sumi's case is still ongoing in the juvenile court. On November 12, 2015, Oishee Rahman was sentenced to death for the murder of her parents. However, her lawyer appealed in the High Court, arguing that at the time of the crime, Oishee was mentally unstable and under the influence of drugs. Because of these arguments, her death sentence was later reduced to life imprisonment. So that was the entire case. But today, Oishee reportedly deeply regrets what she did. Now that she has matured, she prays regularly, reads spiritual books, and mostly stays quiet in prison. Most importantly, she is no longer a drug addict. But since the COVID-19 pandemic, none of Oishee's relatives have made any attempt to visit or speak to her in prison. So at this point, it seems like she is completely cut off from her family. So that was the story of Oishee Rahman. But if you're wondering, what happened to Oishee, her little brother? Where is he now? Well, Oishee was adopted by their uncle right after the incident. But since that traumatic night, he almost completely stopped speaking, and for a long time, he would keep looking for his parents everywhere. Even today, he still has nightmares about their murder. He doesn't exactly remember that it was his sister who killed them, but glimpses of that night still haunt him. He remains under the supervision of the family's trusted doctor, and according to that doctor, Oishee needs professional counseling to fully recover from the trauma. As for what Oishee did, I don't know if it was entirely under the influence of drugs. I mean, yes, she had consumed alcohol, but how much difference could that really have made? Because, clearly, she had been preparing this entire thing for a long time. People still believe, even to this day, that if Oishee hadn't been locked up at home and instead had been taken to a therapist or a mental health expert, maybe her family would never have had to see such a horrific day. But according to the police, neither drug addiction nor alcohol abuse alone can drive someone to commit something so extreme. The most probable underlying reason for all of this was that Oishee never received love or emotional care from her parents while growing up. She never felt understood. And with that, this case comes to an end.